Hello and welcome to TC Training. This is a 30-minute presentation where all attendants will be on mute. So please type any questions you may have by clicking on the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. The questions will be answered during the last 5 minutes of the training. Today we have Chris Prockley with Stratus Networks.
So my background really is I've been in IT. I've sold every kind of IT communications infrastructure. I've been doing this for about 25 years. I've worked on the partner side for 12 years. So I've worked in similar roles as your agents right now, who would work with vendors and everything. So I did that. So I really understand that landscape, and feel I can be a resource there. And to that end, it takes me to my place. So since I know that landscape, I also know that there's a lot of vendors in the space. All right, I'm completely understanding of that. So what my place here is to figure out, for what I can provide you, what might be some lanes that make sense for you. I'm going to focus today really on the connectivity part, because I think that's the tip of the spear for us. We do other things, and I'll get into a little bit of that, but you probably have got vendors that you're working with in a lot of these other areas that you're comfortable with. So that's not an area where we should spend time. My goal here is to talk about where specifically we are differentiation, where we provide differentiation in the connectivity space, so that when you have an opportunity, you think, okay, well, oh yeah, Stratus might be a good fit for that, right? So I'm going to try to steer the conversation there, because to try to make it easy for you. My role here really is I'm channel sales director. So your success is my success. I'm 100% vested in everything that you guys do and how I can help you there. And my plan is to, as long as you'll let me, or as far as you'll let me, is to really help a lot in that regard. Everything from strategy. When I get involved in opportunities, and I'm having conversations with your customer, the close ratio goes up really high, and it's not because I'm anything special, but it's about making the best match for the product. I don't expect you to be experts on what we do, so I want you to lean on me as much as you can there. And I've done things where I'm helping people prospect. If that's something of interest to you, I have lists. So I'm trying to be a resource here, coming from that partner side for 12 years. I've worked with vendors who are like, come in, bring donuts and then sell my stuff, right? I don't want to be that guy. I really want to try to be more of a resource where it makes sense for you. So kind of diving into the differentiation piece of this. So at its core, we're a wholly owned fiber network. We own, operate, and maintain our own network. We sell business only service, so there's no residential service on our network. There's no TV on our network. It's optimized for business traffic only. We're able to extend that out a little bit with NNIs. So NNIs are basically agreements that you make with other carriers where you can now resell them. But what we do there is we don't resell. So let's say you have a prospect in Arkansas. We don't resell whoever's there, AT&T. We actually bring that back to our network through a layer 2 service, so that we can provide quality control on that, and service and custom SLAs, more important. So we can do on net and off net. So what I would say in terms of where it might be a differentiator is really a regional aggregation play. So if you've got locations that may be in Illinois, but also maybe in other areas in the Midwest, that might be a good way for us to differentiate against some of the larger aggregators that are out there that might be in your portfolio, like Granite or Metel or AirSpring or some of these other companies, right? So that might be one specific area. We are Illinois based. So what I'll say is one of the things we do really well that I talk about, but really needs to be experienced, is the service support part of this. We have NOCs in Illinois that are answered by engineers, that are not answered by help desk people. Resolution is within, the calls are answered within a minute, like 98% of the time. Hopefully you don't have a lot of issues with that, but it's the service and support is exceptional there, as well as in the implementation side. We do a very good job of white glove service through this. We would have to, right? Because at the end of the day, you've got choices. I say it's not a very high bar to beat Comcast and AT&T in service and support. So, but what I'll say is we actually invest in that. We invest in that part of the business. So I mentioned the SLA part of this. We actually will do custom SLAs, even for stuff that's off our network. Caterpillar is a huge customer of ours, where they have a number of locations on our network, but they have a lot of locations off our network. So various levels of service, but we provide a custom SLA on all those services, even though the last mile is not us, if that makes sense. And proactive monitoring and alerting. I'm going to just quickly go through this numbers thing here. Again, what you're looking at right now is really kind of the crux of on the network itself right now, and where that is with physical network. The one thing I'll point out in this slide, though, is the churn rate, 0.07%, which, if you know anything about that, I mean, that's exceptional. We don't lose customers once we have them. And again, that's back to the service and supporting of them. Less than 0.2 milliseconds in terms of actual failover time on our core network, which again is another exceptional part. I'll say that really the network performance is, and again, it's optimized for business, is really where we'll play. So if you got somebody that where this is really important, and they're in that regional location, this is a good match for us. I mentioned earlier on about some of the other things we do. So here's kind of the laundry list. I'm not really going to go through a lot of this because I'm going to focus on the network, but we do a really good job of a lot of this stuff. So we have a product called Infrastructure as a Service, which is Flex. If you're looking for somebody that wants some backup, some kind of cheap backup, we're not usage based like a lot of the hyperscalers like AWS or Azure, so it's a really good deliverable, but it's obviously a select deliverable for those select companies that don't have contracts with some of those larger entities. And we do stuff like ePOTS too. We're a really good provider of that. And I'm going to get into a little bit of that on some of the pricing here in a little bit. But really, our focus is on network. So anything from DIA, which is your dedicated services, to shared fiber, to broadband, to wireless, or any combination of the above, depending on what the customer profile looks like, we can mix and match that. And we can provide that on and off net, and we can provide custom SLAs on any or all of that and service and support it. So you could have a scenario where you have nothing that's on our network and we're servicing it and supporting it and providing custom SLAs and proactive monitoring, or a combination of the two. And all of those various flavors of connectivity too, as well. One of the things that we're really diligent about is when you're looking for diversity, diversity is not just another IP address. Diversity means a separate route. So if somebody's looking for, I've got a location here, and I want to make sure that if that fails, I have a second way to get out to the internet. We have an ability to actually do some mapping on that in terms of the second location there, where we'll give maps to people on, all right, this is what this looks like. So you can be assured that you're getting a diverse route. It's not just an IP address, but if something fails, and depending on what other carrier we might look, because we'll look at all carriers in a location, we'll provide you with those maps and that distinction. This is, again, kind of the list of some of the customers that we have. Where we're doing a lot of these projects, everything from connectivity to, in some cases, Flex I mentioned, and we also do have our own HBPX product, which is hosted voice product. Some of these larger customers are leveraging that. But again, I think our focus really here is really more connectivity. A lot of those add-ons were done after connectivity, and it goes, "God, you guys do a pretty good job of this. So what can you do anything for hosted voice?" And then they end up being a customer of ours. We do a lot on the wholesale side as well. So as you can imagine, we're reselling a lot of our services to those that want to get into our moat. So AT&T might not be in certain areas, or Verizon, they'll resell us. We have really multi-million-dollar contracts with Dish to provide backhaul. So those are some of the ways we're also providing services. And then we recently purchased iFiber, which is up north in the northern Illinois area. And these are some of our customers up in that area too, as well. We do business with the state of Illinois. We have a very large contract with them, like roughly 85 locations. So we're tried, true, and tested. There's the only reason why I mentioned that. So, and kind of in summary, kind of why us, again, some of the differentiators. I would say that certainly the the ability to do on and off net and then be able to customize that and put custom SLAs around that would be one. Certainly, we're a wholly owned fiber entity, so diverse entrances, diverse routes, diverse paths. If people are looking for another provider, they have AT&T or Comcast and they're looking for a secondary provider. That could be for SD-WAN too as well, or just diversity with poor man's SD-WAN. The 100 NNIs, so we have more NNIs than most carriers, at least most rural and smaller regional providers, which helps us get to places where people can't get. So that's another real benefit. Certainly the service and support part I mentioned, and then obviously the low churn, which was another, a big, obviously deliverable there. So I guess it's just kind of to summarize in terms of when you would think of us. Certainly that anything regionally, by regional aggregation. So, I mean, we're talking Midwest, check with me, obviously on locations. I'll make sure I can vet all that if you have an opportunity to tell you where we will and where we won't fit. And if we won't, I will tell you that. I won't tell you that we do or where we don't. That's certainly one. Obviously, the network performance part of this is also, again, if somebody's looking for that, we can provide that as well. Diversity, which I mentioned, local support. We do have, we re-signed in February of this year. We re-upped the commission rates for the Claris contract. So 17% now is everything off net and 20% is anything on net. So those are pretty aggressive. If you look at some of the tier ones, that plan was to be above that, which we are. So hopefully we'll pay you more. And then I'm happy to ever do account mapping with anybody if you're ever interested in that. And again, I'll stick to my lane when we do that. I'm showing you this. This is obviously not the complete pricing picture, but what I'm showing you here is stuff that's on net. We've got a Q3 Pro mod, and if anyone's familiar with internet pricing as a whole, you'll see that this is really aggressive. So the DIA pricing on BIA is the shared fiber, so that's why I'm showing you the uptime and latency difference there. And then EPOTs, we can get anywhere from $1.75 to $39 a piece. So I'm sure you guys are all aware of what's going on right now in the marketplace with POTS lines. We can help you with that. And then the Flex product too. And all this stuff is available through the resources through Claris. So you guys have all this stuff if you want. It's part of our rate card. Yeah, so it's an Adtran box is what we're using, and we're sourcing it from two different places, from IntelliPeer and from Infobip. And we price it a little strange in that we price it by, if you noticed on the rate card, it was like DIDs in minutes. So we would need to know roughly what how many minutes of that would be, and then we price it accordingly. But specifically. Well, we can give you an unlimited usage price for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Is that only where you're in footprint?
No, that's anywhere. Yep. That's all cloud-based services.
Only three.
You might have to repeat the question so that the people remote can hear, because they probably can't hear.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So the question was related to the EPOTS pricing. Why is that low? And can you support that pricing off or that service off your network? The answer is yes, we can support it off the network. The pricing is competitive for a reason. So it depends on it's obviously it's tiered. So it depends on the number of DIDs and the number of minutes. So if you obviously less DIDs, less DIDs, there's a higher cost, more DIDs, there's less cost. So there's a formula there. If you're interested in that, I can help break that down if you have an opportunity to see if we make sense or not. Any other questions that
You have to hit the.
you want to?
Do I answer Carrie?
What's that?
If you go to the Zoom page.
Bear with us here.
And see the question box.
Is that what that is?
There you go. There.
Okay, yeah, so there's a question here, what is your network's uptime guarantee? So Our network uptime is 4 nines on DIA services with direct internet services and 3 nines on shared fiber services. We will provide custom SLAs with broadband and wireless if it's part of like a diverse equation. Meaning if you have what I call a BIA, which is shared in a broadband, we will provide SLAs on the broadband. I just did one recently where we actually put a custom SLA for 70 milliseconds on the broadband with one of our BIA services. But to answer your questions, the standard stuff is 4 nines for DIA, 3 nines for BIA. Thanks, Scott, for the question. Yes, I do have a fiber map. I'll get that to Mindy. She can get that out to everybody. Question, do you offer any managed services and what do they include, since I got here a little late? So I'm not sure there's various categories of managed services, right? I will say we do a managed router. Now we proactively monitor and maintain all of our internet services. That's part of the service. So sometimes people say manage. Does that mean that could mean proactively monitoring and alerting? We're doing that already. So, but there is a second level, which is a managed router if they need that. And that could be, I mean, that could be a bunch of different things in terms of what the deliverable is there. So we do have an SD-WAN product that's managed. That's part of what we do as well. Again, you might have providers that do that, but that's another area where we provide a managed service. So those really are the two areas. I hope I answered your question, Scott. Any other questions? Yes.
Well, I guess
Question in
more
the room.
clarification that, you said you're a regional aggregator, and then on this card it says regional national connectivity. So if we have opportunities outside of the region that we would need an aggregator, would we talk to you? Or what?
Yeah, so
I didn't understand that.
yeah, so let me it's all so the issue with why not national and why regional has all to do with when we bring a layer 2 service back to our network, there's a certain amount of latency involved in that. The farther we go, the more latency there is. So that's why, and so the idea of doing regional is there's better performance there. So we are in the process of looking at building POPs in Las Vegas and in Texas, but we're not there yet. So what I would say is, it's really specific. So if you think you have an opportunity that's not from Maine to California, but might be like the Midwest area and South, including Atlanta, where we have a POP, come to me and I'll tell you, I'll say, look, these are, if you give me a list of locations, I can say, yes, we can meet these 3, or there might be some issues there, and I'll give you a list of those. I mean, at the end of the day, we could function that way. We could provide service nationally, but it all depends on what applications you were supporting, right? So that's why I'm saying I'm focusing it more regionally, because that's a home run, because no matter what you've got on your network, we're good to go. But which is not to say that it wouldn't work. So I know I might be confusing everybody here, but that's why I say regional. So if you have but you know, I say that, and we have customers in every state in the union, but from a focus perspective, because you have choices in this area. You have like Granite, or some of the folks probably know who these are. You have other choices in this area where you could go to them and get pricing on a national basis. That's why I'm saying regional. So I'm hoping I answer your question.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really more about a performance for us and where we could provide differentiation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just got confused on the part because it said regional, national.
Yeah.
so-
Because folks like Granite and some of these others, they don't own their own network. They're just reselling.
Yeah.
So that's a part where we own our network. So when we're bringing the service back to it, so that's the point I'm trying to make.
So if we had an opportunity that was multi-location, is there a certain percentage that you want to be on that? If we had, or is all regional
It doesn't matter.
you don't care?
Yeah.
Okay.
The question was, yeah, do I care how much is on net or off net? And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's going to be, the pricing will be different, right? Because when you're on our network, you're going to get the pricing that I showed you, which I'll send to Minnie to distribute. Like $495 for 100 meg DIA. That's very competitive. in the market. When we're off net, we become less competitive, but we have ways to make that aggressive and to compete, so.
You could basically type TUI, right? Would you tell us who the last mile is?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Anything that's not on our network, I will tell you. And I'll tell you, because what we'll do is we'll get multiple. I mean, we'll get through and then we'll figure out what makes the most sense. And if you tell me I don't want Comcast or, yeah, because my guy hates them or whatever, and yeah. But in that scenario, we're servicing and supporting it. So the tier one carrier is not doing it. I mean, obviously they're in back end involved with, day-to-day work.
How do you handle, I know you have a direct sales team. Is Candy Webb still there?
She's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So- So how do you handle that between the channel, like if we're going in with a customer and maybe someone on your direct team is supporting that?
Yeah, so
Price parity or?
absolutely, 100%. And I'm your advocate in those situations. So, we had a situation, I don't know if everyone heard the question here. It was the question was whether I have a direct sales force and how does that work? And so I'm answering that question, which is, yeah, so obviously I'm your advocate there. So we had a case recently where, indirect team, we had a channel partner who was going after a specific customer of ours. And so obviously direct team was involved in that, but so I was helping the indirect agent price parity, but I'm helping the indirect agent on strategies in order to get the business, right? So the specific things that won it for them are obviously what the benefit of the channel is, right? Which is agnostic, right? Choices, some service elements. So there's things that, and in addition, it wasn't just a network buy. There was some additional components there that the partner provided, right? So I'm all in on that, right? That's my job, is to make that work. But at the end of the day, regardless of the situation, there's pricing parity. So I'm looking to see if there's any other questions in the chat.
Scroll down and see.
Did I not? Oh, sorry. Thank you. Mindy's helping me here. We do not, question is, do we offer any cyber or any security? We don't. We have been selling Flex as a way to offload resources. So and some of those are buying that from a security perspective, but no, we don't have any kind of cybersecurity offering in any way.